What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, talking today about Sea of Stars. Now, this review is going to be incredibly in-depth because I've been very excited for Sea of Stars. It's a classic, nostalgia-based RPG. It's something that's sort of imitating classic games like Final Fantasy or Chrono Trigger, but at the same time is very modern. I loved my playthrough of Sea of Stars quite a bit. It's 25 hours that's jam-packed with combos and side quests and so much freaking combat, but at the same time, it has a few very glaring problems that I think need to be discussed. So, are you ready? Here we go. Be sure to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already, but let's start things off by asking the question, what is Sea of Stars? These young heroes are called the Solstice Warriors, and essentially, in their world, magic is incredibly rare, but everything is based on certain elemental types. Being the Solstice Warriors, they have powers of moon magic or fire magic to channel the powers of the sun. And since it is incredibly rare, these people end up going to magic school and getting assigned a destiny to destroy the Dwellers. Now, this isn't a spoiler, it's the opening of the game, but that's kind of their job, is to save the world by destroying these weird foes called the Dwellers, which are like big, weird, magical monsters that need to be fought with sun power and moon power. The plotline of Sea of Stars starts off just so basic and bare bones. It's so straightforward, but it really grows. As we learn about our characters and actually get a chance to interact with different kingdoms and go to different islands, you really begin to appreciate not just the coolness of this world, but the beauty of it. Now, I want to talk about the gameplay, but after that, we really need to go deep onto this art because it is jaw-dropping at times. Now, the fighting in this starts off appearing like classic turn-based battles. You and the opponent take turns punching each other in the face, but it's sort of an illusion. This game is actually very interactive. Whenever you're hitting an opponent by tapping the action button right as you collide, you can land extra hits. If somebody's about to blast you, same thing, you can actually tap the action button to do an extra defensive block, which means that even though the combat is slow, it still requires a heavy amount of attention. But that's not all. One of my favorite things about this combat system is that when you're beating people up, the enemies, they have this charge up. It's called locks. So you can see that I'm fighting somebody and they've got a whole row of things. Now it shows the different things they're currently weak to. Usually it'll say like, hey, this person needs to be hit twice with swords, once with mallets. They need to be hit by a moonstrike. By actually doing this, you can reduce the damage they're about to deal. So bosses, sometimes, if it's like a dragon or something, they'll suck in a huge breath and then you have 3 turns to dish out enough magic, enough power, enough raw might to either weaken their attack so it doesn't one-shot your entire party, or sometimes even just flat out stop the attack by doing a long enough combo. I like that this feels so active, but there is an additional layer to this combat that's absolutely great. If you just bash somebody, just punching them straight up, whenever you do a simple melee attack, it actually knocks out this little mana energy. It restores some of your own magic power, but you can also choose to do a magic boost. If you and your party just keep doing simple strikes over and over again, all this mana will pile up on the ground. You can charge it into a particular person by pulling the right trigger, and once you soak it in, you can unleash your own super attacks, which are your basic strikes, but way more charged up to do extra elemental damage big time. I like the idea that it gives you this extra freedom so that even if you are out of mana, each attack matters. Every strike, every combo, every block all adds together to your eventual victory. Now, if this seems like it might be too complicated, they do have this system called relics where you can just go into the menu and make this stuff very automatic, but I feel like most players are going to be able to pick up on this and really appreciate it relatively quick. But I will say, this brings me to one of my major gripes with Sea of Stars, which is that there really isn't much variance to the magic. each person really only kind of gets a couple spells. I played as the dude. He's able to shoot fireballs and do like this phase attack where he teleports and stabs people. There's like a lady with poison daggers who can do a kick sometimes. There's a lady that can like throw little tiny ping pong balls of nighttime energy. But that's it. I'm showing you clips from the first 15 hours of the game, and it all kind of looks identical. As you explore the different dungeons, you can sometimes find new combination attacks. Certain character combos will get the ability to do an X-Strike or a Solstice Warrior combo. Now, these are cool looking and they deal a lot of damage, but it's weird to me that each individual person doesn't just get more magic. Like in 15 hours, I think I got 2 new spells, which felt weird because you spend a lot of time doing your basic attacks, which meant that sometimes, especially on the bigger fights, it kind of felt a bit dry to see enemies getting more complex, more magical, and I'm still sitting here doing my basic level 1 blast over and over again. Things do change with time. There is some big advancements to the magic repertoire. I just wish it was a bit more soon. I wish that we didn't have to wait 5 or 6 hours to even begin to get a peek at the depths of this magic system. But now, let me talk about the side quests and the absolutely brilliant presentation. As you explore these different territories and go from island to island, you really have a chance to see some really gorgeous vistas. There's a lot of different styles of exploration, like grapple hooks and the ability to have like wind push, so you can make like tiny rafts while you're exploring some of the more watery dungeons. But again and again, while I was checking out haunted houses and frosty peaks and really cool underground areas and stuff like that, I was actually just impressed by how much impressive detail they're getting out of pixel art. There must be some extra optical illusion to this. Like, I don't know a lot about programming and stuff, but something about this feels so three-dimensional even though the pixels are flat. Every shadow is so deep. There's times where you're doing puzzles and you're controlling the sun and the moon and you actually watch everything go from day to night. All these little tiny moments make the world seem so beautifully alive, even though it is obviously this like cartoonish graphic style. Seeing a huge sleeping dragon, talking to fish people. I mean, there is just so many moments where I legitimately sat my controller down and just stared at it. Literally just recorded. I was recording the gameplay and I just sat there and went, how does this game look so good? This was made by 25 developers, and it looks better than some AAA releases I've seen, and that's not a freaking joke. But let's talk a bit about the side content. I think something that people appreciated a lot during especially the Super Nintendo era, the Sega Genesis era, the original Super Nintendo RPGs we used to get 25, 30 years ago, is that a lot of those games had really charming side content. Stuff that would actually make the game itself easier because, well, you know, you could craft super weapons or get magic more powered up. I like the side content in this, but it is extremely optional. It does pretty much nothing. It's just there to be charming and cool and build the world. There's like a tabletop game you can play called Slides, which is like a little strategy game. It's kind of fun. There's fishing, which is kind of nice, I guess, but the fishing just gives you basically extra food, and then you can cook the food at campsites to have extra health potions. Now, that's pretty useful, but a lot of the stuff didn't feel extremely useful. Now, this is my own personal taste, but I appreciate when a game is kind of difficult, so I feel subtly encouraged to do the side stuff so that I have that extra bit of power to defend myself and defeat the next boss. This game, you can't really get overpowered. They have a system that's like anti-grinding. There's a limited amount of enemies, and you can't exactly just like run back and forth. There's no random battles. Every single fight in the entire game is a scripted sequence where you stumble upon somebody and then battle them right there in the dungeon, and it looks great. The combat is very fun, even if it is a bit shallow at times. But you can't overlevel. If you get too strong, then it starts to give you less XP, and if you're underleveled, it gives you more XP. So you're always at exactly the same level as it intends. I mean, personally, I like power leveling in games. I mean, I think it's cool to sometimes just enjoy the atmosphere, find all the hidden items, go back and forth and test every single button. But here, I didn't really feel that push. It felt cool sometimes to go down a wrong path on purpose and find an additional dagger and stuff, but a lot of times the stat bonuses were very, very insignificant. I like going to town and spending my gold to buy an extra piece of gear or equip a new passive bonus, but a lot of the stuff, it really felt like the story, the world, the music are so much at the forefront of this product that they kind of forgot that, hey, part of a role-playing game is that delicious grind. When you level up, you get some flat stat bonuses that increase your magic damage and your health and stuff like that, but it's kind of nice that you can pick extra specific skills. I just kind of wish that there was a bit more of that encouraged depth. Over and over again throughout the course of Sea of Stars, it kind of got the vibe that they were afraid to make the game too difficult, that they want this to be extremely accessible to newcomers, which is fine. I mean, this is a good starter RPG. In fact, I'd say it's one of the best modern starter RPGs, but I wish that I could turn on some sort of option where it's like, okay, I want to be able to grind. I want to be able to unlock magic just by running around a bit. It's weird that everything is just made to get you to the next checkpoint, get you to the next foe, get you to that next big cutscene so you can enjoy the world building. When sometimes, even when I did defeat a giant boss, almost every single major encounter in this game kind of felt like an interactive cutscene. And that's kind of not my style. But overall, I had a great time. This game is coming to Xbox Game Pass and PlayStation Plus, so really, I think everybody should get it. I beat it on Steam. I played it quite a bit on Steam Deck during the course of this review. It's also coming to Switch. I'm definitely going to buy it again on Nintendo Switch just to support it, but if you are looking for that next cool indie darling, I do think this is it. Okay, so we've heard some good and some bad, but let's go over to the ratings board and put a big number on it. I am giving Sea of Stars an 8.5 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching, gamers. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big old thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. And please keep dreaming. And definitely, if you have Game Pass, if you have PlayStation, install it, play it. The first couple hours are slow, but it has some delicious build-up. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.